Good morning, everybody. It is the Nikki Medoro show, but without Nikki once again. It's okay. Thank you for hanging out and waiting a little bit as we get moving this morning. Big Oscars show last night, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But I do want to ask if you can please click the like button and click the subscribe button this morning, first thing out of the gate. And I saw in the chat that we have a couple of birthdays, so let's see if I can get my balloons. Oh, I guess it's when I take up the whole screen, and I can't make myself small, can I? Nope. When Nikki's not here, I can't make myself small, which means I don't have my balloon background to celebrate. But Kay in Santa Rosa, happy 50th birthday yesterday. Yay. I'm sorry you didn't get to celebrate as much as you would have liked, but we'll celebrate here for you. 50 is a big one. You know, I mean, I always say, hey, better than the alternative, right? Yeah. Well, 50 is great. And I think when you hit 50, you feel like, I don't know, you start feeling like you don't care as much what people think anymore. I kind of like that. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm right there with you. Let me just say that. So happy birthday, Kay in Santa Rosa. Happy birthday to Eric's son. I think Eric said his son had a birthday. Is it today or yesterday? Either way, happy birthday. And thank you for spending time with us here on the days that you consider special in your life. So I appreciate that. That's very cool. Okay. Yeah. You're looking forward to 50? It is going to be cool. Right. I mean, you've got some life experience behind you now. You're the wise one, right? Yeah, that's right. And you probably look really good for 50. I don't know. And what is that anyway? Is if they say 50 is the new 40, right? It seems like that. God, remember when we thought 50 was really old, and now 50 seems like, hey, I'm doing pretty good in here, looking pretty fine. All right. Well, happy birthday to you. And I hope that you have a really, really good day. Because if you didn't get to celebrate on your birthday, then we'll celebrate it today. Happy March birthday to all the March babies. Yeah, I have some March birthdays in my family too. All right, let's talk about the Oscars, because that was quite a show. I don't know if you guys had managed to watch that one, but yeah, we had this moment. Well, good morning, John Cena, or Cena, however you pronounce it. I think I've always said Cena, but it might be Cena. He does a really clever introduction for the best choreographer award, and after this, costumers swarm out and make him into a Greek philosopher. It's kind of a cute moment. Can you imagine and I think he's way over 50, right? Yeah. I gotta look up how old he is. But, I mean, come on. I mean, it takes a special person to show up on the Oscar stage naked. You kind of have to have this look, don't you think? I don't know. It doesn't say how. He's only 46. He's 46. Yeah. According to, if we believe Wikipedia, he's 46. But yeah, of course, he's a pro wrestler. He's an actor. He's also been a rapper at certain points in his life. But he did this, and that was pretty funny. I mean, I thought that was a pretty good moment of the Oscars. This was a weird moment. Yeah. Usually when you present an award, especially the award of the night is for Best Picture, Best Director, right? They save those till the end. Everybody wants to know. And so you give all of the nominees their due, which means you name them all, often play a movie clip of them all. Oopsies. Maybe in the interest of time, Pacino didn't have time. He's like, no, I'm not doing that. So he walks out and he's like, I'm here to present the award for Best Picture. Can I have the envelope, please? Let's see who it is. And he just whips open the envelope. And of course, it's Oppenheimer. And so the people from Oppenheimer get up and walk on stage. But, oops. I guess do you need to honor all the nominees? I guess there's that moment, that game show type moment where everybody's waiting with bated breath to see after everyone's announced who is the winner. Do we need all the pomp and circumstance, or we just need somebody like Pacino to walk out on stage and go, yep, here's the winner. We're done. Party over. In the interest of time. Or because everyone is gathered at the Oscars, do you want to see all the nominees and have everyone be recommended? I don't really know, honestly, which way I prefer it rather. Yeah, Lady Beatrice says it was a faux pas. It was a faux pas. Although, oh, we need manners, she says. Although maybe this is the new way we should consider doing it. And we all knew who the nominees were. The big announcements on nominee announcement day were made, right? Maybe we just walk out and say, congratulations, everyone who was nominated. Here's the winner. We don't have a lot of time tonight, so we're moving. Yeah, they usually do show the clips and celebrate everyone who was nominated. That's usually what they did. But they didn't do that. No. Mm-mm. Lori says, De Niro was interesting on Bill Maher. Betty was just over it. Spencer prefers the Pacino way. You're in, you're out. No, Velma says all the nominees need the recognition. I don't know. Or maybe he didn't do it on purpose. Maybe he just got out there and flubbed it. Maybe it wasn't him trying to be, mean or anything. It was interesting. We'll say that. Oh, you felt sad for the nominees. Okay. Well, okay. I mean, maybe. I think it was definitely unexpected, right? Yeah. But it was a good show overall. I loved the I'm Just Ken. And I have to tell you, I didn't see the Barbie movie. I still haven't seen it. But the performance was fantastic. And he's so just gregarious, right? Got the audience involved. I thought that was a really good moment of the Oscars. And so here's this kind of a fuzzy picture of Robert Downey Jr. gets his first Oscar. But it was a big moment for everybody. My friend, I might say friend, my parent friend, my dad friend, who our daughters went to school together, is a sound guy, and he was nominated for sound for Oppenheimer, and it did not win. So sad for Gary, but he has a couple Oscars under his belt. But look at that. Happy night for all the Oscar winners. What was your favorite Oscar moment? Did you have one? Was this it? Was this it? I don't know. Kind of a, I don't know if it's a nice way to allow ourselves to think about something else besides politics for a change, but it's always a good night. Let's see what you guys have to say. Your favorite Oscar winning moment. Robert Downey Jr. looked great. Loved his diamond pendant. John Slade says Kimmel did a great job. Excellent. Yeah. Brian says maybe he thinks so much of himself he could just change the format all on his own. Perhaps. Yeah. My favorite moment was when Jimmy Kimmel and his throwback at Trump. Yeah, a little taste of politics at the Oscars there, right? Great commercial, Kimmel for the show using the Barbie movie. Made me want to finish the movie. Oh, yes, and Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was pretty good. Yeah. I think for me too, John Watson says John Cena and the Ken song were the two best moments for me. The dog sitting in the seat. Yeah. Blue Spark, not a fan of the award shows. Why aren't there award shows for plumbers or mechanics or engineers? Everyone excellent at their job. They're just not in the public eye this way. Although I have to say, usually in communities, the local newspaper will have a best of, best plumber, best electrician in the area, best place to, I don't know, get a facial, right? Best Mexican restaurant, best Italian restaurant. So maybe they get nominated or they get honored at a local level, right? Oh, Gary, coming in. Happy birthday to all our March kids. Thank you, Gary. Really kind of you. $9.99, $10. I always wonder why it's $9.99, but I think it has something to do with what Apple takes or what Google takes or something like that, how it ends up being that way. But thank you for the $10 contribution to the show. Really, really appreciate it. I do want to say that Jennifer is totally right. She said, I wish the memoriam section would have been done better. Don't entertain me. I want to see the people who have passed full on screen with what they did for the industry. With their names bigger too, right? Yeah, I agree with that. That was a disappointment. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about some other things, why don't we? There was, yeah. There was this story out of UC Davis, and it was a shocker to me. Of course, the acceptance letters are coming out for the UC campuses. I know that because my niece was accepted to UC Davis, so we're all very excited in my family. And the same day as she's accepted, I see this article about what's happening at UC Berkeley. And I think the UC Berkeley administrators should be really embarrassed by this. Starting this week, there's a team of private security guards that will be patrolling on the south side of the UC Berkeley campus. They were hired by parents that are so concerned about their kids' safety that they feel like they have to hire private security. Honestly. The security guards are going to be patrolling from 6:30 in the evening until 3 o'clock in the morning at 3 main dorm buildings and the surrounding area. The group that has formed is calling themselves Safe Bears. And they say they're hoping this will make the kids safer. They're hoping this will make the streets around the dorms safer. One woman who is studying electrical engineering says she's been the victim of 2 armed robberies in this area. I feel like at one point it was somebody pointed a gun at her from behind and demanded her things. She said she feels like when she's walking the street, she's always scared, always looking around. When she gets in and out of cars, always running to her car and locking up immediately. She said it's not a sustainable lifestyle for her anymore. And so, like nearby Oakland, which we'll talk about in a moment, you've got the Cal campus where students don't feel safe on campus to the point where parents have to hire their own security guards. And I just wonder why the school isn't doing it. They have a campus police department. And this is a lot of money people are paying to go to Cal. So why are parents on the hook to pay, $40,000 this group called Safe Bears raised to pay for the security guards? Some are on foot around the dorms, other on bikes to cover a wider area. They're going to do this through March 23rd to see if it works. Pilot program. And if it does work, they're hoping the university will take it over. That chance, right? I mean, they would say, oh, well, we're just going to have to raise tuition then, or we're going to have to tack on some other fee then. The families say, we're not content to sit back and wait for UC Berkeley administrators to get off their rear ends and make something happen. We have to do something now because our kids aren't safe. So UC Berkeley writes in a response to Safe Bears that they are taking action to increase campus safety. They have added more surveillance cameras and added community service officers where students are trained, which are students trained by the UC Police Department. They say they're also looking to hire more sworn police officers. But training and experience are concerns when it comes to hiring private security. The guards that are patrolling don't have weapons. They just have radios. I would imagine that if someone's being attacked, they can get involved. I don't know how it works out. Some students apparently feel they don't need the extra security. Some really are grateful for it. So we'll see what happens. I don't think that university is doing enough if parents have to step in. You know, it's outrageous. Luis, thank you for the $5 super sticker. And the award for hardest working YouTube co-host goes to Kim. Thank you. Thank you very much for noticing and recognizing and contributing, Luis. Really appreciate that. That's nice. We need it too, Nikki and I, to keep the show going. So very, very kind of you. Eric says, so they'll just stand there and watch you get robbed while they radio each other to chat about it. I mean, I think the hope is that if there's a security person nearby, you won't get robbed because it'll be a deterrent, right? You're not there by yourself. And there's someone that could get involved. But like that electrical engineering student that was, had a gun on her. I don't know what a guy with a radio is supposed to do about that. Yeah. No. The guards will get their phones out, says Spencer. Right. Well, it's very reminiscent to me of what's happening next door in Oakland, right? Where you have had business after business saying, nope, we can't, this is not going to work for us. So was it In-N-Out closing along Hagenberger or in Oakland, wherever in this area? You've had the rental car agencies say, don't stop at the gas stations along Hagenberger, right? You've had Kaiser say, don't go to lunch outside of the Kaiser building. And when you're parking, we'll send a security guard with you. The Clorox Corporation also saying, if you need to go anywhere outside of the building, we'll send a security guard with you. That's how bad it is. Well, more closures. Now, Oakland Taco Bell locations are closing down their indoor dining. So if you're going to Taco Bell, which I know we have to do the story because Nikki loves Taco Bell. If you go to Taco Bell in Oakland, you got to get your food and go. There's no lollygagging, no hanging around, no eating at the restaurant. No dining inside multiple Oakland locations. So one along Hagenberger, another along 35th. I guess Cron 4 went out to see if the restaurants were really closed down, and indeed they were. And they asked one of the employees, why are you closed down? And the employee said, because some people like to make trouble. So you can get your food on foot or by car, but you cannot stay. I guess if you stay, you're more likely to be the victim of a crime, or you're more likely to harass employees. I don't know how it works out. Yeah. So more and more businesses are either limiting service, like Taco Bell, closing down, dissuading their employees from going out into the community and spending money for safety reasons. And still, there's no police chief in Oakland. And the mayor is dragging her feet on this. What in the world is happening? I mean, is this what happens when society falls apart? We just can't have nice things. And think of all the good people in Oakland who want their community to succeed. I was reading an article last night, and Macy's is closing in Union Square in San Francisco, like the big flagship West Coast location, in addition to Macy's all over the place. And I was reading an article last night out of Los Angeles saying that there was one of these major retail crimes at a Macy's, I think it was in Orange County, where they walked away with thousands of dollars worth of merchandise at Macy's. We already know Macy's is closing. It's like, what do you want to, they're already on their knees. You want to kick them in the back while they're down? Really? Does anybody care whether these places stay in business or not? Where are we going to, I guess we're just going to have to buy everything online then. And then the next thing will be UPS robberies as people take all the stuff. Is that right? Or more porch pirates. It's crazy. And I really think it affects all of us. Because these businesses are all over the place. And so how they do business, how much business they do, it makes a difference. Yeah. So now you can't go into the dining room in Oakland, Taco Bell's. You have to go through the drive-thru. That's it. That's all you got. And it's because of crime in the area. Numerous car break-ins reported in the area. Numerous robberies reported in that area. So it's a really sad situation. And I mean, I don't know. The statement from Taco Bell is this: providing a safe environment for team members and customers is the priority of Taco Bell restaurants. The franchise owner and operator has informed us that they are consistently evaluating and working to ensure a safe environment by implementing procedures like closing dining rooms, hiring security guards. They've taken extra measures to meet with local law enforcement. The world changes, and here we are. All right, let's do a little bit of news, and then we'll come back and talk about these cranes at the Port of Oakland and really ports all over America that were made by a Chinese company. Are they spying on us? We'll find out in just a moment. But first, let's do a little bit of news. See if I can't play the mix. Here it is.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, he of the gold bars, is pleading not guilty to new charges. He was arraigned in a New York federal court this morning on superseding indictments that charge him with obstruction of justice. The Democrat was indicted on 12 new criminal charges, including conspiracy to commit bribery, fraud, extortion, and conspiracy for a public official to act as a foreign agent. The charges are related to a years-long corruption and bribery scheme involving the governments of Egypt and Qatar. Menendez's trial is set to start on May 6th. President Biden will be on the campaign trail today. He's going to New Hampshire, the first trip to the state in his quest for re-election, where he will give a message about lowering costs for Americans and attend a private event later on as well, a little fundraising there. President Biden won the state of New Hampshire with nearly 53% of the vote in 2020. Also today on the legal front, special counsel Robert Hur is set to testify before a Republican-led House panel. Actually, that's tomorrow. Hur was, of course, tasked with investigating President Biden's handling of those classified documents, but ultimately declined to bring criminal charges. He said the facts stopped short of finding that he willfully retained classified material. The public testimony will be held before the House Judiciary Committee, led by Republican Jim Jordan of Ohio, and that will happen on Tuesday. Again, we mentioned the Oscars. Emma Stone won the Best Actress Oscar at the 96th Annual Academy Awards, bringing home the award for her work in Poor Things. It is her second Best Actress Oscar, and she's been nominated 4 times. Her first win was for La La Land back in 2017. The National Transportation Safety Board investigating Friday's deadly crash of a National Guard helicopter that happened right near the Texas border. Military officials in New York identified 2 soldiers who were killed as Army National Guard members, Casey Frankowski and John Gracia III. Homeland Security officials say the Border Patrol agent who also died in the crash, the third one, was named Chris Luna. A 4th New York Army National soldier was seriously injured. There were no further details, though, on that person's condition. That chopper was on a support mission at the southwest border when it went down on Friday. The Anaheim Planning Commission here in California is scheduled to vote on the multi-billion-dollar Disney expansion project today. That project, called Disneyland Forward, will add more rides, more hotels, more shopping, more dining, more entertainment options to the theme park, more different lands. We talked about that recently as well. Much of the construction would happen in what is currently the Toy Story parking area. If approved, the Anaheim City Council could consider that plan as early as April 16th. And what I understand is they're trying to buy up some city-owned streets in this area as well as part of this expansion project. So it'll be interesting to see if the city of Anaheim goes for it. There is a whole lot of money up for grabs when you talk about the Powerball drawing tonight. No grand prize winner on Saturday, so the jackpot is now at $532 million. The upcoming Mega Millions drawing tomorrow is up to $735 million. So if you are waiting to get your lottery ticket, just so you know, it's looking pretty good. I don't know if it's pop worthy yet, but it's looking pretty good. This report is sponsored by you, which means we do rely on you to help us fund the Nikki Medoro Show. The website, thenikkimedoroshow.com, is full of great information. Thenikkimedoroshow.com. You'll find the Patreon and PayPal links. And in the show description, I should mention, those links are there as well, along with other links like the sleep log journal. That is there. Also, the recipe journal is there. So check the show description if you're looking for things like this. And I would also ask, which is free and doesn't cost you any money, to click the like button and the subscribe button as well. All right, we're back into it. How about these Chinese-made cranes? It seems so weird to me that I don't know if we're being paranoid or if there's real concern here. But these cranes, these large cranes that we use at our ports to take and put the cargo containers onto and off of ships have apparently been found to have communication devices. Some cranes contain cellular models accessible remotely. Yeah, apparently it's a huge concern. And the thought is that we need to move really quick to dismantle these communication devices. There's now a congressional investigation into Chinese-built cargo cranes at U.S. ports because of national security risks because of these communication devices. The report in the Wall Street Journal says some of the cranes were found to have communication equipment that could be accessed remotely. Are they listening into conversations at ports? Why would they do this? What are they hoping to hear? Lawmakers are worried about the threat of espionage and disruption posed by these cranes. They are mostly manufactured by a Chinese company called ZPMC. At least one special advisor to the Department of Defense says this is really a huge concern. They say using modems to remotely monitor operations and track maintenance at U.S. ports isn't uncommon, but some ports didn't request the installation of modems on these cranes. The Chinese government has denied any national security threat, but still there's a big concern, and rightly so. You know, we didn't ask for the devices to be put there, and yet here they are. One of these security experts said there have been communication devices found on the cranes. They can be remotely controlled. For intelligence collection purposes, you can use them to figure out what's going on in a port. And you might even have the ability to actually destroy that infrastructure and prevent logistics. Maybe if you were, I don't know, trying to, get certain ships to certain places. If there's some kind of port conflict with China, I don't know. So the Department of Justice has already revealed that a former Army intelligence analyst was indicted on 6 counts of sharing confidential information with China. They also had the case of the former software engineer at Google, charged with stealing artificial intelligence trade secrets from the company while secretly working for 2 companies based in China. So there's a big concern for security around these big companies. Of course, there's the whole TikTok concern as well. And there was the spy balloons as well. So is this us being paranoid? Or is this us every time we turn around figuring out a way that China's trying to scoop in and either steal technology or spy on us somehow? And what are they trying to learn? What are they trying to hear? I don't know. Ron says, we need to start manufacturing for our own needs. National security issue by not having our own robust manufacturing base, regardless of cost savings. Dave says it's the same with DJI drones. All of the information when you're flying a DJI drone is going to China, including cops. They use DJI drones. I remember that case. And I don't think that has really gotten the national attention it's deserved, Dave. Really? That's a pretty big deal. Yeah. John says China's like the cyclones in Battlestar Galactica. It's pretty scary. I don't know. Calvin says private security, you're talking about Berkeley, regulated and have certain standards to place anyone under arrest. You have to get training and certification to be armed as well. It's not fast or easy for background checks, ma'am. Randy writing, your iPhone was most likely made in China. Are those spying on you as well? Well, that's, and you know what? We have our phones with us all the time. We take them everywhere we go. We always have it next to us, right? I mean, that would be the way to do it. Can you imagine how much information to sift through, though? I mean, it'd be like a million voices. How do you figure out? I don't know. Yeah. Quesadilla writes, it's like Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. No government proof, just speculation. Calvin says, yeah, the Chinese government is ripping off America and needs to be stopped. Well, I don't know if the communication devices on cranes are an attempt to rip us off or to just spy on us, or maybe it's completely innocent. I don't know. It just seems weird that every time we turn around, there's something like this, you know? Eric says, we used to be in America well known for our manufacturing. Now we only make guns. Well, I hope we make more than that. But yeah. Mindy says, Alexa is always listening. Probably here's an argument, if that's helpful. Do you have that in your house? An Alexa always listening? We don't have that. We had a Google Home device, and it was given to us. And my husband was so concerned about it that he unplugged it. He's like, I don't want that in here. I don't want that listening to everything we're saying. Don't want it. So I don't know. My mom has a Hey Google, a Google Home device, loves it, uses it all the time. As a matter of fact, that's how she listens to the shows. Always just has it going on in the background. So I don't know. Oh, Lori with a good point. AI is good for the sifting of masses of data. And maybe that's where we are. It's interesting. I was reading a story about AI, not to get off topic, Lori, but I guess it's supposed to be smarter than human beings by 2027, which is much faster than we had anticipated it happening. So I guess now we have that to worry about. No Alexa. No Alexa for Liz. Nope. Deidre says, my phone listens enough. And I know my phone listens because I will say something and all of a sudden I'll see an advertisement for it. Not even typing in search, but just say something. And then all of a sudden I get advertisements. So I know it's listening. I know it is. And still, I carry it around with me everywhere I go. Blue Spark says, my phone is made in Japan, but runs through a bunch of Google crap, and no, I will not have a smart speaker. Can it really be smarter if it's not sentient? That's what they say. We've made something that can outsmart us. I don't know how, because it would seem to me that the limit of its intelligence would be the limit of our intelligence, because we programmed it, right? I guess we programmed it to learn and do things that we could never do. I don't know how it works, Eric. I don't know. Jim, writing about Nikki's mushroom dosing a year or two ago. Oh, you heard that? Your phone heard that, and I started getting ads on my phone for mushrooms. I'm telling you, it hears us. Yep. Mars writes, Snowden showed privacy abuse. Facebook sold user data to Cambridge Analytica to make psychometric profiles on us. Government and core see us as a product. We are the product. We're the product of Facebook. Of all the free services we use, right? We are the payment. So that's Google, our free Gmail accounts. That's Facebook, our free Facebook and Instagram accounts. All of these things, we are the product. But we know this, right? Delette says, I have Alexa and I don't care. I've got nothing to hide. That's kind of how my mom feels, too. With her little thing listening in her house. I don't know. Oh, are they blurry? I think they were blurry. They looked a little smaller to me than usual. Kay in Santa Rosa wants to know if the comments I'm posting on screen blurry for everyone or just her. Interested to hear what everyone has to say about that. I don't know. Blue Spark says it's just you. I don't know. Yeah. John says, I think that AI are smarter than quite a few people, just like most Trump followers. Not blurry. A lot of not blurries. Okay, good. Mindy says, Alexa plays a lot of nice jazz and I enjoy asking her questions. Right on. I mean, everyone there has their own thing, right? So I'm just concerned that every time we turn around, there's another spy balloon. There was a bunch of fishermen off the coast of Alaska who fished something they thought might be a spy balloon out of the sea. So, I don't know. So, a lot of you watched the State of the Union speech, and afterward, we had Katie Britt, who gave the Republican rebuttal to the speech. And I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people thought that was a weird rebuttal, right? She's sitting at a kitchen table and she's very dramatic and over emotional. And I don't know what she thought she was doing or how she thought she needed to come across. But I will just say it was absolutely not genuine. It was like this overacting, over the top, very, very strange speech. And I get that she felt like she had to say certain things, that she wanted to hit all the Republican talking points, but it was bizarre, very bizarre. Here's a picture of Katie Britt. Not the one from the speech, but there she is. She's the youngest senator, I believe, youngest female senator. And so she gives this speech that's just, it's not genuine at all. It's like, high drama, voice like this, everything's wrong. And even when she talked about human trafficking and she relayed this story, right, of this young girl who was trafficked, she did it with this drama that I felt really lessened, cheapened the story that she was trying to tell. Well, come to find out, the story that she referenced happened during the last Bush administration. It didn't happen during the Trump administration, and it certainly didn't happen during the Biden administration. So when you're trying to call out someone for border issues or lay this trafficking issue at their feet, maybe you should consider the story you're telling. Yeah. Now she's defending using this story, even though it's completely inaccurate. And she gets called out for the fact that it had nothing to do with President Biden. Nothing. She said in the speech, we wouldn't be okay with this happening in a third world country. This is the United States of America. And it's a past time we started acting like it. It's past time we started acting like it. This happened during the Bush administration. Please. She was asked, did you mean to give the impression that this horrible story happened during President Biden's watch? This, by the way, asked on Fox News Sunday of all places. And she doesn't respond directly to that question. Instead, she discussed President Biden's first 100 days in office, his decision to stop building the border wall, his attempt to temporarily stop mass deportations. And then says human trafficking has gone up during President Biden's presidency. No, I'm not buying it. Where are your numbers? No. Then Britt says, I very clearly said, after the host on Fox News, of all places, and I'll give credit where credit's due, presses her, saying, all right, to be clear, though, this isn't something that happened during the Biden administration. And Britt says, probably surprised, thinking she's going on Fox and she's not going to be questioned like this. She said, I very clearly said that I spoke to a woman who told me about this trafficking situation that she suffered when she was 12. So I didn't say a teenager. I didn't say a young woman, a grown woman. So she's trying to make excuses for herself. It looks to me like she got caught lying. If there's really so many trafficking stories, can't you find one that happened during the last 4 years? Can't you do that? No. So I feel that automatically and immediately makes her look completely suspect. Once you lie about something like that, then everything that comes out of your mouth is high drama and likely not true. That's how it feels to me. If you're going to exaggerate, which her whole speech looked like an exaggeration, and you're going to say something like this, then what else have you said that's not wrong or that is wrong, right? As a matter of fact, the woman who was trafficked at age 12, who Katie Britt was talking about, has now spoken out. She has made her name public and her story public, so I will as well. Her name is Carla Jacinto, and she talked to CNN on Sunday. And she said, I don't like politicians using the stories of people that are trafficked as talking points, basically. She said, I hardly ever cooperate with politicians because it seems to me they only want an image. They only want a photo. And that to me is not fair. This is the woman she decided to talk about. And this is why the woman doesn't want to be talked about, right? Because that's exactly what happened. Katie Britt used her as an image, right? Used her story to make a point. A point, by the way, which was completely invalid because it didn't even happen when she, during the presidency that she's trying to poke a hole in. Jacinto told CNN Mexican politicians took advantage of her by using her story for political purposes, and that it's happened again in the United States. She said, I work as a spokesperson for many victims who have no voice, and I really would like them to be empathetic. The governors, the senators, to be empathetic with the issue of human trafficking because there are millions of girls and boys who disappear all the time. People who were really trafficked and abused. And I think, she said, Katie Britt, should first take into account what really happens before telling a story of that magnitude. So even the victim is calling out Katie Britt in this case. You know who really takes human trafficking seriously? Who really has actually done something about human trafficking? It's actually Kamala Harris. That's who. Do you remember when she was the Attorney General in California? Do you remember when she was the district attorney in San Francisco? It was an issue that was close to her heart. And it was an issue she fought for. And it was an issue that she had success coming up with plans to help keep people from being trafficked in California. So Kamala Harris, on this issue specifically, puts her money where her mouth is, has gone above and beyond for victims of trafficking and to prevent people from becoming victims of trafficking. Look it up, Google it, 100% true. And that is so much more important than sitting at a kitchen table talking about a case that you're trying to make seem as if it's President Biden or Kamala Harris's fault. No. Here she had an opportunity to talk about issues because President Biden hasn't done everything right? But for some reason, crackpots have descended upon this trafficking issue and they're, hanging everything on it. Not that it's not an important issue. I'm not saying that at all. But she had the opportunity to call out real problems and didn't. So I just think it's very, very strange. And again, if you want to see someone who has made a difference in trafficking, it's Vice President Kamala Harris here in California. I think that's very noteworthy. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Pope. He angered a lot of people yesterday. I think he got it wrong on Ukraine. He said Ukraine should raise the white flag and end the war with Russia. Why? Who started it? Who invaded the territory of Ukraine? So it's up to Ukraine to give up now? Oh, we're bad. We just want the war to end. Go ahead and take our land and, take our sovereignty and we're good. We're done. Right? White flag. Really? Why didn't the Pope say, Russia, you should never have done this. Back out of Ukraine. Knock it off. No. As a matter of fact, sorry, I have an itch. The Ukrainian government is responding in not a very nice way to what the Pope said. They are vowing never to surrender. Pope Francis said the country should have the courage to raise the white flag and negotiate an end to the war with Russia. And what Ukraine's foreign minister said in response is, our flag is yellow and blue. This is the flag by which we live, die, and prevail, and we shall never raise any other flag. So they're going to have to get thoroughly beaten in order for their flag to come down. But should the Pope have said that? I understand that the Pope wants peace. We all want peace. But maybe the Pope is directing blame here at the wrong party. Does it seem like that to you? And if the Pope is on the side of, non-dictators, of, places where you have a choice and some freedom, then you really want to be on Russia's side? Politicians in Europe are expressing outrage at this comment by the Pope, where he looks to stay silent on all the crimes, war crimes and other crimes committed by Russia, doesn't call them out as the aggressor in this whole thing. And he places the blame on Ukraine to make peace, or the responsibility, I should say, on Ukraine to make peace. It doesn't make sense to me. And now European politicians are calling on Pope Francis to stand on the side of good and not put Russia and Ukraine on the same footing and call it a negotiation. That there is no equal footing here. One is the aggressor, one is the victim. One is fighting back, one is attacking. There's a big difference. So, this is a problem. You know what happens when you see one ant? It means there's more. I just found an ant on my computer. That's a problem. Ew. Now I'll have to keep my eyes open for more ants. Anyway, I thought that was, I thought the Pope got it wrong on that one. Definitely got that wrong. I'm not sure if you saw this story. I guess the pilots were a little tired, a little sleepy. There was a plane flying with 159 people on board when both pilots fell asleep. Yeah. There were 157 other passengers, and the two pilots fell asleep in the middle of the flight. The nap caused the plane to veer off of its designated path. This according to the National Transportation Safety Committee in Indonesia. The pilots were on a Batik air flight in January when they both fell asleep at the same time for just about a half an hour. It was 28 minutes. We're calling it a half hour. What? The plane left Kendari in the southeast island of Sulawesi and was headed to Jakarta, which is a 2-hour and 35-minute flight. So really not that long of a flight. And you have two people there. If one person says, listen, I am so tired. I got no sleep last night. You mind taking it? And the other guy's like, listen, I'm really tired too. All right, let's develop a plan. You sleep for the first half hour. I'll sleep for the second half hour. And if anything happens, we'll wake each other up. Okay. I mean, I would argue that if you're piloting a plane or co-piloting a plane, that you should be at your best. That's what all the people in the back are hoping for, right? They don't want to know that you're snoozing up front. Really. The pilot in command, 32-year-old Indonesian. The second in command was a 28-year-old Indonesian. These are not grandpas that are tired. These are young guys. Maybe they're partying the night before. I don't know. Both of them had been deemed fit to fly, passing health checks, returning negative tests for alcohol. I guess they were just sleepy. When the flight hits this cruising altitude of 36,000 feet, about 30 minutes after departure, the pilot in command asked the deputy for permission to rest, which was granted. The pilot in command fell asleep and woke just under an hour later. The pilot in command then asked his cockpit mate whether he wanted to sleep, but the second in command declined. So the first pilot continued to sleep while the deputy remained in control of the aircraft. After making contact with Jakarta's Area Control Center, the second pilot inadvertently fell asleep. We've all had those moments where your eyes really get so tired that you just can't, maybe it's warm in there. I don't know. But when you feel like you're falling asleep, don't you do like the face slapping and the the cold water drinking, the flicking of cold water on you, something? Because you know the other guy's asleep already. Come on. The report said that when the control center later attempted to contact the pilots, they didn't receive any response. That's because they are on a nap time. Yeah. Several attempts to contact the plane had been made by the Jakarta ACC, including asking other pilots to call them. None of the calls were responded. So at this point, they're like, is the radio broken? Like, are they being taken over by armed intruders? Is there a hijacking? Like, what's going on? They're not responding. 28 minutes after the last recorded transmission from the second pilot, the first pilot woke up and was aware the aircraft was not on the correct flight path. The pilot put the flight back on track. The plane went on to land at Jakarta. Passengers and employees were unharmed. Everybody okay. No damage to the plane. The second pilot had apparently been taking care of his 1-month-old twins at home and was struggling with sleep and had moved residences the day before the flight as well. I mean, you have a really important job. I get that you have twins at home, and hey, I'm a mom. I understand. Sleep is precious, right? Kids are waking you up at all hours of the night. Babies are hard. You have twins at the same two crying babies in the middle of the night. I get it. Then you got to do something different and check into a hotel and say, look, I'm supposed to fly 150 people somewhere tomorrow and I have to be at my best. Something. Come on. And they should know that too, right? I mean, don't you think the company you work for, if you're a pilot, that you just had a new baby, that maybe your sleep might be a little affected? I don't know, maybe give you some extra time off. The Transportation Ministry strongly reprimands Batik Air over this incident. We will carry out an investigation and review the night flight. Ooh, see, now I'm brushing to see if ants are anywhere here. We will carry out an investigation and review the night flight operations in Indonesia related to the fatigue risk management for Batik Air and all flight operators. I mean, I don't know. If I'm in the back, if I'm a passenger on that plane, I'm not feeling comfortable. No. I don't know if the rules are different for American pilots at American-based airlines, or what the rule is as far as someone requesting a nap or sleeping on the job. I can imagine there's some really long flights where maybe you have other staff members, you have more people in the cockpit so that some people can rest. Article I'm reading out of the Washington Post says the airline industry has had a tough time dealing with this whole fatigue issue among staff members, particularly pilots and cabin crew. They did a survey in July and talked to almost 7,000 pilots in Europe. And they found that 3 out of 4 pilots fell asleep while flying a plane in the month before the survey. 3 out of 4 European pilots. In 2022, the managing director of Wizz Air faced some backlash from unions and pilot representatives after urging fatigued staffers to go the extra mile amid shortages. That's bad. You have these people flying tired. Not good. In the United States, this according to the Washington Post, federal authorities have investigated nearly 5,000 pilots suspected of falsifying their medical records to conceal that they were receiving benefits for mental health disorders or serious conditions that could classify them as unfit to fly. I don't know how that relates to sleep, but I mean, I guess having a pilot that's somehow, not fit or not ready for the job. But can you imagine? Nap time. No, not while you're flying the plane. Thank you very much. Speaking of plane crashes, there was a plane crash in the North Bay that happened on Friday. I can't even imagine. So these people were in a small plane, a Cessna, I think. 2 adults, young adults, and a 2-year-old child. All from Santa Rosa. They're in this plane. It's a cruise, sorry, not a Cessna. It's a 2004 Cirrus SR-22. So it takes off from the Shelter Cove Airport and it loses engine power, about 5 minutes after takeoff. And it comes down in a forest in Mendocino County. So that's not really, I mean, it doesn't look good for anyone surviving if your plane's going to hit a tree and burst into flames. But there was a parachute aboard. I think one, just one. And so they strapped it on and all held on together and survived. Can you imagine doing that with a 2-year-old child? I can't imagine how scary that must have been. The plane they're in crash landed into this forested area in Mendocino County in, Mendocino County. And they say the road, but whatever. The plane is a high-tech, sophisticated plane. It costs about $1 million. And so I guess a lot of people are making comments about, oh, why, you shouldn't have to have a parachute on your plane. Well, thank God they did have a parachute on this plane. It wasn't some rinky-dink aircraft. The man is 38. The woman is also 38. And the 2-year-old, the only occupants of this aircraft. And they're okay because they had the parachute. But again, I can't even imagine with a 2-year-old doing that. How scary that would have been. The FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board are investigating this. The parachute got snagged on tree branches high above the ground. On the ground, pictures of the crumpled plane are seen as well, and the plane is resting on its roof. So it didn't look like it was a survivable crash. Thank God that they came down that way. So they were rescued, and again, everything okay. Did you hear about this photo of the Princess of Wales? There's a big flap over this. Here's the family photo, all right? So it's Catherine, Princess of Wales, with her 3 kids, Louis, George, and Charlotte. And I guess Mother's Day in the UK is different than our Mother's Day. So after her surgery, where everyone was really concerned about her, this picture is posted. And it's posted on all these media websites. And then someone notices, it looks like it's been doctored or somehow tampered with, right? And I guess that's a no-no when it comes to official photographs of royalty. I don't know. But it's been somehow photoshopped. And so now the concern is, is she really okay? And also, when you, as a member of the media, publish a photograph, you have to say, this has been edited or what have you. We received this edited, and they all published it saying it came from the royal, I don't know, whoever puts out their pictures. It's an official picture, right? Problem, it has been doctored. Yeah. And so all of the media outlets that put out this picture pulled it back and said, oops, no thank you. The picture was retracted because the image appeared manipulated. And so now there's this speculation. Is she really okay? What happened with the picture? She said, or the William, Prince of Wales, said, it was taken earlier in the week in Windsor. Thanked everyone for their support of her, for being kind to her, wished everyone a happy Mother's Day. Well, now she's apologizing after the picture has been pulled back. The big flap over this picture. She says, pardon me, she says she is sorry, Kate, for editing the Mother's Day photo that caused all the furor. She said she did it herself. Yes. She says, oops, like many amateur photographers, I do occasionally experiment with editing. I wanted to express my apologies for any confusion the family photograph we shared yesterday caused. I hope everyone celebrating had a happy Mother's Day. So she did her own editing, according to her statement that she put out. Can she not edit her own pictures? I don't know. Do you edit your own pictures? I crop pictures a lot. I don't necessarily change things about people. They said it was the cuff and the way that Princess Charlotte's hands are placed that made it clear that it had been manipulated, that something wasn't quite right there. I don't know, looks okay to me, but okay. I guess they have people that look at these things that would know. So now she has to, after everything, come out and apologize for editing a picture of herself and her own children. Weird. She is, again, thanking people for their kind wishes and continued support. Wishing everyone a happy Mother's Day again. But it is weird. She's laid low because she's been recovering from this surgery. That then the first picture that's released is a picture that's all photo edited. I don't know. So here's where it was the alignment of Princess Charlotte's left hand with the sleeve of her sweater is why they think that it was how they noticed that it was manipulated. And then they had to pull that picture off of all media. Yeah. The UK security minister says it's not unusual for families to slightly improve pictures of themselves and their children, but it's important that we record what we put out as honest and that we record situations accurately. Really? Do you think the media does that all the time? They don't manipulate pictures to be clicked on? But okay. I guess royals are held to a different standard. Interesting. All over this. Wild. Okay, let's do a little bit of news and then let's talk about this 49ers wedding that happened over the weekend. And we'll talk about what happens when billionaires collide and maybe they're not so happy with each other. Let's do it. But first, let's see if I can do this by myself and play a little bit of news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, President Biden is pressuring Congress to take up the recent bipartisan border deal. While delivering remarks before the National League of Cities in Washington, the president said the deal would save lives and bring order to the United States-Mexico border. The president urging representatives from cities all across the country to tell their members of Congress to show a little spine, he said, and pass this legislation. The bill, negotiated by a bipartisan group of senators, has stalled as Republicans claim it doesn't go far enough to stop the flow of illegal immigration. And as we mentioned earlier, the woman at the center of the human trafficking story told during the Republican response to the State of the Union is speaking out. In an interview with CNN, Carla Jacinto Romero criticized Alabama Senator Katie Britt for inaccurately using her story to slam President Biden's immigration policies. Senator Britt, in her response to President Biden, shared the story of a young woman she met who was a victim of human trafficking. It was later revealed the incident occurred between 2004 and 2008 during the George W. Bush administration. Romero told CNN she was not trafficked by Mexican drug cartels, as Britt stated, and was never trafficked in the United States. She said lawmakers lack empathy when discussing the issue and use it for their own political purposes. For shame. Former President Trump says he thinks a TikTok ban would only empower Facebook, which he called an enemy of the people. Speaking to CNBC this morning, the likely Republican presidential nominee said there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad with TikTok, but he predicted banning it could help Meta, which owns Facebook, double in size. That contrasts with the view of President Biden, who said he would sign a bill to ban the app if Congress were to pass it. As we mentioned, Hollywood's biggest night in the books, Oppenheimer, the evening's top winner, securing 7 Oscars out of 13 nominations during the 96th Annual Academy Awards. The historical epic scored the Best Picture, Director, Actor, Supporting Actor, Original Score, Cinematography, and Film Editing. Actors Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr., alongside director Christopher Nolan, took home their first ever Oscar wins. Poor Things Emma Stone won her second Oscar for Best Actress. Best Supporting Actress went to Divine Joy Randolph for her role in The Holdovers. Best Original Screenplay and Adapted Screenplay, Anatomy of a Fall, which I think Tim Sika really liked that movie, and American Fiction, respectively. And Ryan Gosling and the Barbie cast took the Oscar stage for a performance of I'm Just Ken and stole the show. It featured a cameo by the guitarist Slash. Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas O'Connell took their second Oscar for Best Original Song for What Was I Made For? The 2024 Oscars, of course, took place last night, at the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles. So, did you know that Tuesday marks Equal Pay Day? It is the date that symbolizes how far into the year women have to work to earn what men earned in the previous year. The Labor Department says women in the United States earned about 20% less than men on average last year. And still, this happens. And still. Here's an interesting story for you. The Pentagon says there is no evidence that the U.S. covered up the existence of UFOs. The Department of Defense released a 63-page report on unidentified anomalous phenomena Friday. It said investigative efforts determined most sightings were the result of misidentification of ordinary objects and phenomena. The report also said there's no empirical evidence for claims that the government and private companies are reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. They had to come out with an official Pentagon report on this. Okay. Did you hear what Lindsey Graham had to say to President Biden? He said, "You are screwing up the world every way you can." Wow. In an interview on NBC News, Meet the Press, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham slammed President Biden's foreign policy. What's Trump's foreign policy? Get us out of NATO? That's great. Slammed Biden's foreign policy and approach to the U.S.-Mexico border. Of course, Graham, supporting Trump for president, pushed back against President Biden's comment that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was hurting Israel more than helping with its military operations, arguing that President Biden should be more forceful against Iran and Hamas. The South Carolina Republican said if voters want to get the world back in order, they should support Trump in November. Yikes. I mean, do we honestly think Trump is going to do a better job when you talk about, I mean, if you're someone who is calling for a ceasefire, who is worried about what's happening to civilians in the Gaza area, if you're not liking what you're seeing there, and you know that Trump in his last presidency was a huge supporter of Israel, why do you think it's going to be different? That's the question. I don't know. Yeah. So, I don't think so, Lindsey Graham. No, I don't think so at all. That's you creating your own reality is what that is. Not a fan of you. Let's go to the chat, see what you guys have to say. I'm sorry, I've been doing story after story and I have been remiss. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's pretty big fighting words from Lindsey Graham. That's pretty flamboyant, says Jim Slayton. Randy calling Graham a joke. A louse, we have him. Useless, we have him called. Yes. Eric writes, and this is my point. Yes, we've seen how Trump handles foreign policy, and absolutely no thank you. Right? No thank you at all. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Mindy says, I have a bridge you can buy, and I don't believe them. No cooperation, no compromise. I think you're probably talking about the border bill there, Ricky Aubert. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think, we all know why they're doing that, why they don't want any movement. They don't want any success for Democrats at the detriment of all of the rest of us, right? Of all the voters, of all the people affected. So, no. A little business news. How about some of that? Elon Musk says Grok will go open source this week. It's a ChatGPT rival from Musk's artificial intelligence startup xAI. It will be available to X users who pay $16 a month for a subscription to use it. xAI released Grok last year, but he says it will go open source this week. Reddit plans to raise as much as $748 million in its IPO. That according to a corporate filing, the company hoping to sell about 22 million shares of Reddit. The expected price per share between $31 and $34. You going to buy some Reddit shares? The result of an internal investigation into last year's ouster of Sam Altman from OpenAI has been revealed. A summary of the findings indicate there was a significant breakdown of trust, you think, between Altman and the co-founder Greg Brockman, and the board acted in good faith. In the meantime, Altman is rejoining the company's board of directors. And we're to Waymo now, where Waymo is starting to operate robotaxis in Austin, Texas, without a safety operator behind the wheel. It is seen as a crucial step in the evolution of the company's service. Less than a week ago, Waymo was approved to charge for rides in the Los Angeles and San Francisco area as well. So, Waymo, getting it done despite a lot of people feeling a little standoffish about what's happening with these driverless vehicles. Huge smash and grab in the Sacramento area. This happened at Sunrise Mall at the jewelry store in Citrus Heights. The surveillance video shows 3 people that were armed with hammers targeting displays yesterday afternoon before escaping with unknown amounts of jewelry. They all drove off in a blue vehicle. I mean, I guess if you're going to take a lot of stuff, a jewelry store is the place to do it. I don't know. There is a new bill in California aimed to declare non-disclosure agreements in legislative negotiations as unenforceable. Republican Assemblyman Vince Fong's bill is partly in response to the state's new fast food minimum wage law, reportedly being negotiated in secrecy. The bill also bans public employees from signing NDAs in their official capacity when they're negotiating these proposed laws. The NDAs were used in final negotiations of the fast food minimum wage law at the request of the Service Employees International Union. Of course, the governor was closely involved in the negotiations. His office said it had no involvement in the signing of the NDAs. And yet, nobody knows who negotiated that deal that said you had, if you baked bread in your restaurant, that you weren't eligible to have to pay your employees a certain amount, right? They walked that back. And now Panera Bread, did I say Pandora? Panera Bread does have to pay because it was obviously negotiated, right, for a friend of the governor's. And now no more NDAs. That seems like if you're negotiating on behalf of the people, that it would make perfect sense to me that everything would have to be out in the open, transparent, and on the up and up. Because people that negotiate deals shouldn't be negotiating on behalf of anyone other than the people of California. And we all have a right to know. So why you would think it was okay to have an NDA when you're negotiating something for the people of California, you're doing the people's business? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. No. In the North Bay, police in Sebastopol are stationed at Annalee High School after weeks of threats of violence were made against the school. The threats were not corroborated. Still, though, because of nervous tension feelings, police will be on the campus even though the threats aren't believed to be credible. Police had first received word of possible threats against students and staff Saturday afternoon. The threats made mention of a gun and other violence. When are we going to be done with this? Come on. I mean, our kids are going to school and we're just, we don't know. We don't know what we're sending them into. I read that story and I thought about, every time you see a story like that, you think, I hope my kid's okay at school today. And I don't think that I'm being dramatic about that. I really don't. Because it is what rolls through my head. In the Los Angeles area, here's a great dad. Not. This man is behind bars after allegedly trying to abandon his family after a violent single vehicle crash in Hyde Park. This crash happened early Sunday morning. It sent all this man's family members to the hospital, including a 5-month-old child, the whole family injured. A woman and a 7-year-old child also suffered injuries. Police say the man who was driving tried to leave the scene after the accident. He also suffered serious injuries. You just try to ditch your injured family. Wow, that's crazy. I remember talking to you guys about this movie, this documentary that I adored. It's called The Last Repair Shop, and it's a documentary on Disney Plus. It's really worth watching. And I'm so happy to tell you that it won an Oscar. It's about 4 people who repair and maintain the musical instruments used by the Los Angeles Unified School District students. And it is an Academy Award winner. It took home the award for Best Documentary Short at Sunday's Oscars. In celebration of the win, the filmmakers are announcing a fundraising effort to help boost the Los Angeles Unified School District music programs. The superintendent also was hailing the film's Oscar win on social media as well. I'll tell you, as a mom of a band kid, we have to repair the instruments. If something breaks with the instrument, we've got to take it up to the music store in Santa Rosa and get it fixed. In Los Angeles, they have a dedicated workshop where anything that goes wrong with all of those instruments, the school district pays for and fixes. You're going to love this. It's surprisingly emotional. You would think a documentary about just fixing instruments would be like, okay, great, they fixed the instrument. That's great. But the stories of the people, how they came to fix the instruments, how they came to love the instruments, how they see the children that they're helping. Such a good video. Such a good documentary, rather. Again, it's called The Last Repair Shop. It's now an Academy Award winner, and I think that's super cool. I would say that I didn't see all of the other ones in the category, but I think it definitely deserved some love there. Very, very good. All right, let's move on. That report, by the way, was sponsored by you. Thank you for all the ways you help support the show. Honestly, we're so grateful. We couldn't do it without you. Here is the website. It is thenikkimedoroshow.com. Patreon and PayPal links all located there. And of course, you've got our super chat here on YouTube, which is live. And thank you for clicking the thumbs up button. Appreciate that as well. If you haven't subscribed, if you could do that as well, that'd be awesome. All right, let's talk about the 49ers wedding, because Brock Purdy married his high school sweetheart over the weekend. And we knew they were engaged, but just the sweetest wedding. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't anything outrageous. Just a little wedding. You know, nothing fancy, nothing big to see. Just a really sweet thing. He married his college sweetheart, Brock Purdy. Her name is Jenna Brandt. It happened in Des Moines, Iowa, which is where they met at Iowa State, where he was on the football team and she was on the volleyball team. And she also transferred from Northern Iowa as well. So they have some Iowa ties. It wasn't, again, fancy. There were about 350 people there in Iowa. And they said she wore a sleeveless mermaid style gown, but they don't give, you know how they sometimes will give the brand name and that the cost of the dress and all that. None of this. It's just this simple wedding. The photos of their engagement were taken on Montara State Beach in San Mateo County. They do plan to come home to California and take wedding photos in Lake Tahoe. So I guess they wanted to wear their wedding attire in Tahoe, or maybe they're doing a second ceremony for people maybe in California. I don't know. They have never lived together, which is interesting in this day and age. So this will be like a big thing for them. You know, he's had roommates for the last few years, because remember, he wasn't getting the big paycheck, right? Not yet anyway. So this will be the first time that they live together. So for them, it's not just a piece of paper, it's some really big changes. So congratulations to Brock Purdy and his new wife, Jenna. who got married in Iowa over the weekend. Looks really beautiful. Congratulations. That's awesome. Always love a happy story here on the Nikki Medoro Show. This next story is not so happy. This is about Elon Musk lashing out at Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. Her name is Mackenzie Scott. And she has billions and billions of dollars after their divorce, right? She has been donating a lot of money to charities that benefit women, that benefit minorities. She is a fan of gender-based causes. And Elon Musk is not a fan of how she's giving away her money. Why it's any of his business, how she gives her money away or to whom, I don't know. But apparently he's offended by this. He said, super rich ex-wives who hate their former spouse should be filed and be listed among reasons that Western civilization died. This is what he posted on X. He was responding to another user who said Scott had been giving money to organizations that deal with the issue of race and or gender. Now, Musk, we know, has been very critical of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They call it DEI. He wrote recently that DEI is just another word for racism. Shame on anyone who uses it. It's not the first time that he's come down hard on Mackenzie Scott over her philanthropy and how she chooses to spend her money. He has said that he wants to vote Republican because the Democratic Party had given his companies, Tesla and SpaceX, a cold shoulder. And he thought his companies were being sidelined partially because Mackenzie Scott donated to PACs posing as charities. He said about her, it's safe to say Mackenzie Scott is not exactly a big fan of her ex-husband. Unfortunately, a lot of others are getting caught in the crossfire. What does it matter how she chooses to spend her money? You have a lot of money too. Spend it how you wish. You want to spend $44 gazillion on Twitter and turn it into X, gut it, and make it half the company it once was or less? It's your prerogative. But who are you to tell her how to spend her money? Men, I'm telling you, misogynist, right? Crazy. So Mackenzie Scott, I think it was $38 billion. She got a lot of money after her divorce. A lot of money. And one of the things she did was donate $275 million to Planned Parenthood, to which I say, thank you. Because if I had that much money, that's exactly what I would do. So in my thinking, it went to somebody good, right? Somebody who's doing the right things with it, or the things that I feel are right with it. But again, it's none of my business how she uses her money either. Whatever. What's interesting, according to this article in Business Insider, is they say that a lot of philanthropists have strings attached to how the money is used. And that is not what Mackenzie Scott does. She has a no strings attached approach toward her giving. And so that's gotten her a lot of praise. The most cherished gifts are definitely those that are unrestricted because of a complex variety of needs is what people are saying. And so when they are gifted money, they like to be able to use it how they want to use it. Yeah, that's great. Musk donated $5.7 billion in Tesla shares to the Musk Foundation. They have donated to various causes, among them renewable energy, space exploration, and artificial intelligence. They also gave $160 million to nonprofits, including the St. Jude's Research Hospital. So that's great for them. Give to St. Jude's. Spend your money on AI. Do whatever you're going to do. But don't fault Mackenzie Scott for spending her billions where she wants to spend them. That's ridiculous. I just feel like that's, I don't know, the very misogynist thing. So you have billionaires colliding in this case. I don't know. It's interesting to see people with money fight, but in this case, I feel like I don't know. It feels oogie to me that he would criticize how she's going to spend her money. No, thank you. A new report, the annual budget, is being released, and it is President Biden releasing this today. And in this annual budget report, it lays out the president's funding priorities, what he hopes will be funded, as an important message to convince voters who maybe are concerned about the economy to give him a second term. It is a $7.266 trillion budget. And he says he's vowing to help the middle class. He's trying to draw contrast between congressional Republicans and Trump. He only will call him his predecessor. He won't call him anything else. He just says my predecessor. The White House officials are saying the budget includes proposals to bring down the cost of everyday necessities and lower healthcare costs as well, drug prices, and expanding access to prescription drugs. So that's something that's important to everyday people. The budget also includes provisions on raising taxes on large corporations, cracking down on corporate profit sharing as well, proposing a minimum 25% tax on billionaires. Sorry, Musk, there goes your money. The White House says these provisions would cut the deficit by about $3 trillion over 10 years. It'll also apparently cut taxes for many middle and low-income Americans. It's kind of the opposite of what Trump does, right? It also includes proposals for national paid leave and advancements in cancer research as well. Of course, something close to President Biden's heart, as his son died of, I think, a brain cancer, right? The White House says supporting giveaways to big corporations and the richest Americans come at the expense of Americans and American seniors. The president's budget, they say, ensures that billionaires pay a minimum 25% rate, making large corporations pay their fair share, cracking down on corporate profit sharing, and cutting taxes for tens of millions of low and middle income families. Thank you, because we need it. So we'll see. I mean, obviously it'll be a fight, right? I'm hopeful. I don't know. I haven't read the whole thing. I don't know. I'm just glad to see it moving in the right direction. So, did you vote in the primary election? Because it seemed to me that not very many people did, and I know voter turnout was very low. And if you didn't vote in the primary, will you vote in the presidential election? And how important is it to you to do that? I feel like when I rolled up to drop off my ballot that I had filled out at home, there weren't very many people there. And it really disappointed me. The difference is in a Trump budget versus a Biden budget. The difference is in who's paying taxes, who gets away with paying nothing, right? And who foots the bill. These are important things to us every day. So I'm really hopeful that people will see this. I'm really hopeful that people will consider that when they consider the economy, will consider women's reproductive rights and get out there and vote. Yeah. In other news, let's do some state news because I haven't done any state news yet for you today. I think we should. All right, I'll do it again. You guys ready for it? Here it comes. I have it.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Oh, maybe I'll do some national headlines for you as well, because we just have some coming out. And that is Peter Navarro, a former economic advisor for former President Trump, will head to prison this month. He has been ordered to report to a Miami prison on March 19th. It will be the start of his 4-month sentence after being convicted on 2 counts of contempt of Congress connected to the investigation into the January 6th Capitol riot. There is a social media video showing Mexican cartel members laughing about a deadly helicopter crash on the Texas border, and that video is now getting some attention. Military officials have identified those killed as National Guard troops from New York. They were on a deployment supporting border protection operations there. And now, again, we have a video of Mexican cartel members laughing about this. I mean, I don't know what we expected from them because they're kind of the bad guys in the world, but yeah, that's upsetting. As we mentioned earlier, I can tell you that President Biden will be in New Hampshire today on the campaign trail, his first trip to the state in his quest for re-election. He's going to be giving a message about lowering costs for Americans, and he'll hold a private event later on. And as mentioned, this comes on the day where his budget proposal comes out, right? And so it's a great opportunity for him to get out there and to talk about what he's trying to do to help everyday Americans when it comes to the economy. And I feel like that's a good thing because people need to know, right? And what he needs to do is to accentuate the things he's doing. Like the other day where he got rid of the late fees or whittled them down from $30-something to $8. These are the things that people feel. So I don't know. I feel like they're the things that we need to make sure that we're highlighting, right? Over and over and over again. A state wildlife official and the Coast Guard are now monitoring the coast of Huntington Beach after an oil sheen was discovered there. It's a pretty big one, too, spotted last Thursday, stretching 2.5 miles long. They say it was gone, though, as of yesterday. Cleanup crews are still finding tar balls on nearby beaches. At least 2 birds have died as the result of this oil. Crews have recovered about 85 gallons of oil from the water. They removed about 800 pounds of oily waste and tar balls from the shoreline. The cause of the oil sheen or whatever spilled there is unknown. So we, cleaning it up, but we don't know what happened. 5 firefighters are doing better now after responding to a fire at an illegal cannabis operation, this in downtown Los Angeles. The fire began inside a nearly 70-year-old brick building on Saturday morning. The crew felt an unexpected burning sensation in their faces. They were treated at the hospital and released. Nearly 150 firefighters battled that fire for about an hour. No word yet as to what caused it. We're always worried about I'm always worried about, I should say, stormwater and whether we're capturing enough of it when we get all these winter storms. And here comes this story. 13.5 billion gallons of stormwater captured in February. The major winter storms in February are providing a major boost to local water reserves in Southern California. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power says it captured more than 13.5 billion gallons of stormwater last month. The total is more than 5 billion gallons higher than February of last year. The stormwater, they say, is enough to fill more than 20,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools and serve 165,000 households for a full year. Could we have captured more of it? It would have been nice, maybe, if we could have, but glad we captured that. So there you go. Another 23 Starlink internet satellites are orbiting the Earth after a successful launch from northwestern Santa Barbara County. The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket took off from Vandenberg Space Force Base just after 9 o'clock last night, 2 hours later than planned. It was the 17th flight and the 12th Starlink mission, and for the first stage rocket booster. About 5 hours earlier, SpaceX also launched a Falcon 9 rocket with another 23 Starlink satellites on board from Cape Canaveral, Florida. And maybe I'm naive, but it seems like we're doing this an awful lot. And I wonder why we need so many satellites. I mean, don't we have enough? Or do they just constantly die and become space junk and we always need new ones? What's the story with the satellites? It just seems like an awful lot that we're sending up, floating around everywhere. I don't know. San Francisco is about to get a financial windfall to help pay for numerous community projects. Former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi says San Francisco will be receiving $12 million out of the $460 billion government funding package that President Biden signed this last weekend. That $12 million is earmarked for more than a dozen San Francisco-based community programs, and that includes BART. the YMCA of San Francisco, the Homeless Prenatal Program, and the Tenderloin Neighborhood Development Corporation. So there. An investigation continues into a deputy-involved shooting that left a 15-year-old Southern California boy dead. San Bernardino County officials say the deputies were called to a home in Apple Valley Saturday night on reports of this teen attacking family members. When deputies arrived, they say the 15-year-old allegedly tried to attack them with a 5-foot-long gardening tool that had a sharp end to it. One deputy opened fire. Apparently the teen was later pronounced dead at a hospital. It's a sad situation. There are some small businesses in Oakland considering not paying their taxes, and they're doing it to try to send a message to City Hall. A coalition of small businesses are discussing a tax boycott and investigating the legality of doing such a thing. Many business owners are unhappy about what they say is a lack of security in Oakland. They say Oakland officials claim more than 700 police officers are on the street, but they never see any of them. The coalition believes a tax boycott would send a message and that things need to change to make business owners feel safe. We already talked about that, in Oakland, Taco Bell, you can't eat there now. You just have to go in and get your food and get out because of safety issues, right? Other businesses are affected by this as well. And so does not paying your taxes send the message to City Hall to say you have to, get off your rear end and do something here? I don't know. I don't know if that works. Something needs to be done, though. There was a shooting on the Bay Bridge. Not sure if you heard about this one. This involving at least one person in the hospital after a shooting. On Saturday night, a car was going through the tunnel near Yerba Buena Island. One woman inside the car was hit by gunfire and was taken to the hospital in unknown condition. It is unclear if that victim was targeted or if it was random. No arrests have been made. Scary stuff, man. I'm telling you. East Bay freeway shootings, being shot on the Bay Bridge. I mean, those bullets could hit anyone. Assuming she wasn't targeted. Maybe they did hit anyone. This is a disturbing story. There's a Fairfield police officer who is in trouble now for allegedly sending some texts that were sexual in nature to pictures to high school girls. The officer was booked into the Solano County Jail over the weekend. He had been the resource officer at Rodriguez High School and apparently had been allegedly sending these texts to at least 2 girls there. So he's busted and, being taken out of rotation as far as being in the schools. I guess that's the good part of that story. There was an arson at a church and it was caught on camera. The video of this is really disturbing. This man is wanted for intentionally setting a cross on fire at a Santa Cruz church. Police say surveillance video caught this man on camera setting fire in front of the Holy Cross Church this last Friday night. The firefighters had to be called to the scene. They put out the cross relatively quickly. But the message that sends. Another disturbing story, this one from UC Santa Cruz. A man is facing charges after he was found naked inside of a UC Santa Cruz dorm. Police say the man was found nude inside a campus residential hall shower last week. People who live in the dorm couldn't identify him, and they aren't sure how he even made it inside there. Police came out, arrest the guy. Scary, though, to have some naked stranger in your dorm shower. Yee. There are dozens of pets now getting better care after they had to be rescued from a supposed rescue center in Hollister. Police say more than 200 dogs and cats were taken from Petapalooza Rescue by animal care and service officials. The animals were allegedly being kept in unsanitary living conditions. The 2 owners of Petapalooza have both been arrested and booked on felony animal cruelty charges. And some good news now for the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. It is going to have a new attraction. A new Ferris wheel called the Dream Wheel is now under construction at the boardwalk. It is a 65-foot tall Ferris wheel with thousands of lights built into it. It is expected to be up and running in time for spring break. Boardwalk officials say a second new ride called Surge will open around Memorial Day weekend. So some changes coming to the boardwalk. And I don't know if you've been to San Francisco. What was in Golden Gate Park is now at Fisherman's Wharf or Pier 39 area. It's this huge Ferris wheel with views of the bay, of the Golden Gate Bridge and Alcatraz and Treasure Island. So beautiful. And so hopefully that brings people to Santa Cruz and gets people excited about going back there, because those will be beautiful views as well. Okay, I would ask you, if possible, to please click the like button as we transition now to the Mark Thompson Show. If you can subscribe and haven't yet, please do that as well. Nikki is gone tomorrow and Wednesday, and she will be back Thursday and Friday. So it'll be you and I hanging out for the next couple of days. We'll try to get some guests in as well. Thank you so much for participating in the chat and for all the ways that you guys always help me when Nikki is gone. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you for contributing to the show as well. I do have some people to thank, as a matter of fact. So Gary D throwing down that $10. Happy birthday to all our March kids. You are very appreciated. Thank you very much. And happy birthday again to Kay and Santa Rosa and to Eric's son. Luis for $5. And thank you for that really nice message, Luis. You're always so kind. Love you. Angel in the Bay Area with a $5 super sticker. Love Kim McAllister Day is on the Nikki Medoro Show. Thank you. Thank you for the nice words. I need all of them, so I'm so appreciative. Thank you for all the ways you support the show. And Gary, Luis, and Angel, thank you for the super stickers today. And thank you to everyone who sends in the Patreon and PayPal funding as well to help keep the show rolling. I will see you, and I'm ending a little bit early. I'm sorry. I'll have more for you tomorrow. But take a break for now, and then meet me at the Mark Thompson Show, where we'll have a lot of guests on the show today. So it'll be really fun talking about the Oscars with Sam Rubin from KTLA. That'll be fun. And Courtney with True Crime Corner. There's a guest today that's going to be really, really exciting. So I'll see you over there on the Mark Thompson Show. Until now, we'll end it with my boy Jake. And here he is.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You sprout like a beautiful blossom.